Can the web of relationships that developed between Bodie's citizenry during the 40-year rise and fall of the town be recreated into a complex and compelling story based upon physical manifestation of its remaining architecture? The purpose of this project is to educate and engage users in their discovery and research of the California Gold Rush era by threading the stories of selected Bodie residents together with the use of the buildings that still remain. Although there were only a few settlers initially and only a few remained in Bodie's declining days, there were 10,000 residents during the height of its glory, or perhaps infamy. The story of each resident is a thread that enriches the history of Bodie. No matter which resident's story is being told at a particular time during the user's experience, the story of Bodie as a town reflects a collective culture of people and places as a whole. Therefore, each of the stories portrays and enhances the user's understanding of a place long forgotten in a time long past, as the user integrates the separate elements into a unique interactive experience. The user's experience includes historical data from the period through the inclusion of artifacts still found inside of the buildings and in the surrounding area. Additionally, the experience offers deeper insights into Bodie's story by lacing of folklore into the project. By weaving the technology into a narrative based upon Bodie's history and culture, this project teaches users about an important time in California history as it maps one of the few true ghost towns in a three-dimensional environment. The user is immersed into Bodie via the three-dimensional imagery captured with an adapter-equipped digital camera and displayed via a stereoscopic visor that is worn by the users during their immersion into the environment. Users discover and experience this unique ghost town, which is in a perpetual state of arrested decay, in a new and different way that allows them to have a more realistic spatial feel for Bodie and keeps their interest while touring the town. Not only the users get a better view of the architecture and surrounding area, but they also get a better feel of its eerie atmosphere through the use of an appropriate soundtrack which accompanies a corresponding audio track that describes each building, artifact, or location along their journey. Foley sounds are also added to the soundtrack and correspond to each particular area that a user is seeing, as well as to the ground where the user is walking. For example, if a user walks into the store with a wooden floor, the echo of footsteps will be heard. A small map is located into the lower left corner of the visor interface, which is expandable so that the users are able to see their exact location and the direction they are facing. All of the structures have a corresponding short story that is presented as a series of verbal sketches. There are 70 structures listed in the Bodie Tourist brochure, and this project will focus upon 29 of them. One example of a building and its story is the Methodist Church, which was built in 1882, and it is the only church that has survived to date in Bodie. Prior to being built, there were no other churches in town, although there were two clergymen, the Reverend Hinkle, a Methodist minister, and Father Casson, a Roman Catholic priest. They held services in private homes at first, and then later they held services in the Independent Order of Odd Fellows building or the Miners' Union Hall. Additionally, the installation informs the users about certain facts of interest and stories such as cyanide leaching process, electrification of the mill, and discovery of a standard mine, which educate users about aspects of everyday life associated with Bodie during its heyday. There are stories that tell about the roles played by the stamp mill and the Cornish pump in the recovery of gold. Users learn about the development of the Pelton water wheel, which was paramount in California mining because the remnants of one is found among the artifacts that litter the ghost town. Historical figures are intertwined with the buildings and artifacts, thereby weaving their stories with that of their community. Furthermore, the user's experience is enriched with an eclectic collection of folklore about fictitious characters such as the bad man from Bodie. As the immersive moves around the visor area, they are exposed to multiple stories based on a place or artifact they are viewing. By moving towards the building, the user is able to get a closer look at the artifacts within it and around it. These buildings and artifacts tell a story of their own and enhance the user experience as the user interacts with them. There are short stories presented as a series of verbal sketches that correspond to the structures and many of the artifacts. Each of these places and artifacts colors the user experience with unique highlights. Therefore, each user creates a unique narrative of Bodie depending upon what places are visited and with which artifacts they interact.